Welcome to a backwards Clear Mountain gathering. We all face the other direction. Um, it's good to see everyone. And just to acknowledge, how's the volume? Okay, good. We have some special people joining us. We have Kristen joining us from Costa Rica. Where are you, Kristen? Say hello to her. Did I get that right, by the way? Yeah. Okay. And Charles and Alex coming from Portland. It's Ladawan's day before her 70th birthday today. Ladawan, please raise your hand. Wherever you, she's gone already, actually. Well played. Um, oh, but these are her flowers, so that counts. Chinitas as well. And we also most of you will know about Port Townsend and Ayananda Bodhi's and Parayana Vihara's almsgiving ceremony tomorrow, which will be taking place. It starts at, I believe, meal offerings at 11. People arriving at 10:30, and then the actual ceremony is at 1, I think. So if you want details on that, I posted it to our WhatsApp and Discord groups. And you can also just Google Parayana Vihara, Parayana Vihara, Vihara. So, and just look for their almsgiving ceremony. However, we have some people stranded without cars who want to go. So if you are going and have a car and would have an extra seat in that car, would you please raise your hand? We got a Trenton in the back, going once, going twice, and maybe a Samir, half a Samir, one Chanita. All right. 3 is a good Buddhist number. If you are looking for a ride, please raise your hand. All right. So I'll let you all connect, and that would be good. Oh, and Cheryl. And we're bringing our AV equipment up to that as well. And so, yeah, if people can just talk to Cheryl in terms of helping carry it into the car, along with some free distribution books as well. And also after this, so just we really want to celebrate that and welcome, yeah, just make it's sort of this Cascadia contemplatives of all these monastics kind of circling around this area, and really want to encourage people to make that weave these two communities together. And finally, we have an event at Forterra, or with Forterra, who is right now Friends of Clear Mountain's partner in searching for land. They're a conservation organization, and we feel really grateful for this kind of partnership where they're helping us search for a monastery, basically. And to honor that, we're having an afternoon session today, and I'll let Ajahn Kovilo announce that because he knows more about it than I do.
Yeah, so it'll be from 1:30 to 3:30 this afternoon at Hazel Wolf Park. And we have directions on our website. You can just go to clearmountainmonastery.org, and it'll be in the calendar there. And yeah, you can just meet there around 1:30 and meet at the trailhead. And we'll have one of the Forterra representatives kind of give an overview to the afternoon. So
2 hours of walking and sitting meditation, Dharma talks, fun things. So, okay. I think we've done it a few times. There's a retreat in October, the 5th and the 6th. So yeah, check the website for that. At Winthrop Twisp weekend retreat. It's going to be fun. There's campfires. It's good.
And also, just for the last bit over a month, we've had these a bunch of hours every day for Zoom meditation. And quite a few people here have joined from near and far. And we're going to go back to regular hours with a bit more. So every morning from 4 to 5:30 in the morning, you can go on Zoom. The link is on our website. And then every afternoon from 4:45 to 5:45 is another hour for sitting. All right. So we can all chant together. We can do the Buddha's words on loving kindness. This is on page 37. 37 in English. And for people online, you can just look in the, there should be a link that you can click on. Now let us chant the Buddha's words on loving kindness. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing in gladness and in safety. May all beings be at ease, whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short, or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born. May all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another, even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child. So with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, from drowsiness. One should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding by not holding to fixed views. The pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. Okay, and we can sit meditation together for about 20 minutes or so. Okay, coming to meditate. The first thing we do is get the body, allow the body to come into a posture which is supportive of the mental posture that we're trying to cultivate. So this is a physical and mental posture which is upright but not uptight, which has energy to it, but is also very relaxed. So we usually suggest that people give attention to the spine, whether you're sitting on the floor, sitting in a chair, or even if you're standing. You bring this uprightness to the skeleton, specifically to the spine. You can imagine a string attached to the top of the skull, gently, very gently, just holding one up. You can also imagine a string being attached to the bottom of the spine, to the coccyx, the tailbone. That's a weighted string, gently pulling one down, allowing one to stay grounded. And you can imagine all the rest of the muscles, all the muscles of the body, from the thin muscles of the head, all the muscles of the face, which are so used to tensing up, all the muscles of the shoulders, the chest, the belly, and the legs just relaxing around this central column. You can also imagine the body being like a carafe, or even like this rib cage, this cylinder. It's being like a carafe or a vase, even like a French press. Just this cylinder of uprightness. And if you start tilting, just let that cylinder rebalance. And with the cylinder, this spinal column upright, with the carafe in place, let all of the detritus, all the dried up rose petals of thoughts and physical tension, you can let all that just settle over the course of the next while. And if we don't stir it up, all this stuff can just settle. Bodily tensions, mental tensions, all the floaters. And so the body's in place, and we can bring the mind to a similar supportive posture. We stay awake and we allow things to still. You can pay attention to the breath if you're used to that. Very gently and very kindly, very attentively, knowing every in-breath and every out-breath. The mind wanders off, or part of you has just started stirring up all the debris. No big surprise, just you can come back to the breath. The breath never left. The mind never left. If you've got a complex or complicated relationship with the breath, or if you just want to experiment, see if you can just keep this aspect of wakefulness. Just take mental awakeness as your object. Very simple and awake. Not wired, not asleep, but just sitting here awake. Thoughts can come and they go, and you don't have to get involved. Just sitting awake here in space. If you do find yourself tipping, tipping over, tipping out, come back to this balanced, upright wakefulness. If it's the body that's tipping out, tipping forward, leaning too far back or to the sides, you just balance out your sitting posture and remember that we've got this whole ground supporting us, whole earth. And if it's the mind tipping in the direction of thoughts, tipping out with emptying itself from a wakefulness, come back to the breath or come back to this sense of knowing wakefulness. And keep letting all that habitual stuff just settle. Just in the last few minutes of a meditation sit, especially when you're sitting with a group like this, it can be good to practice metta or loving kindness meditation. We've been sitting here allowing all the mental and physical residue and dregs just settle. And the water of the heart is thus a bit more clean, hopefully, a bit less agitated than when we started sitting. With that, see if this way of practicing metta, spoken of by Lumpur Pasno, of inviting other people into your heart space rather than shooting metta rays out in every direction or any kind of outwardly directional metta. Just open things up and allowing others into our heart space. Oftentimes a wish can help with this. Just, may I be well and may I be happy. And may all beings be well. May all beings be happy. Just sitting in this open way with one another. Okay. So this is a time, if anyone wanted to, be giving some reflections and then shift into a period of Q&A. But if anybody wanted to shift posture, stand up, now could be a good time. Sarah, could I invite other people to join
It's
as well?
the choir. It's the
Yeah,
Clear
please.
Mountain Choir, page 124.
If anybody wants to join in, page 124 of the chanting
Oh,
book.
Trenton's doing it today? I thought I was on the schedule. It's you. It's good.
Can start by bowing 3 times. Bow. Brahmachaloka Dipati Sahampati Katanjaliyanan Diwarangaya Chata Santi dasata paraja kajatika tese tu dhammam anukam bimang pajang.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. So I think from time to time, Ajahn Nisabo and I might teach you all a few Thai words because some of them are just a lot of fun. So Thai, as far as I know, has the best and funnest word for dregs, like the kind of residue that comes down like at the bottom of your French press. German might have a good word as well, but the Thai word is gak, gak. That's all the gross stuff that kind of settles at the bottom of your French press. What is the German word for that? It's probably good. Kaffeese? Kaffeese. Gak is better. Sorry. So wanted to do another survey. Sometimes we'll do this at the beginning of talks. So does Buddhism have shoulds? Are there any shoulds in Buddhism? Let's get a show of hands. Who thinks that there are shoulds, like you should do this, you should do that? Who thinks that there are shoulds in Buddhism? Okay. Who thinks that there are no shoulds in Buddhism? Okay. Got a few hands on both sides. Okay. And there's no necessarily on this one, no wrong answers. A couple of weeks ago, we showed some drawings of like this spiky little creature and asked if this is Bobo or Kiki. And pretty much everybody said that the spiky one was Kiki, except for one guy who said it was Boba, and no wrong answers, even with that one. How about should nots? Are there any should nots in Buddhism? Yeah? Okay, hands up. And how about shouts? Are there any shouts in Buddhism? Okay, got some confused hands. All right. I'll say, fortunately, these days, there are no more shouts in Buddhism. You can definitely say that. So shout being the kind of Victorian or King James version of should not, thou shalt not. And I think in the late 1800s, early 1900s, there were European translators who translated certain Pali terms with shout, but it doesn't go over so well with an American audience. So modern translators don't do that. But we'll get into this because it is, everyone, I think, is right in certain ways. The reasons why people said that there are no shoulds in Buddhism, you're probably right for the reasons that you think that that's right. And for the people who say that there are, we'll look at that as well. So just for reference, in this chanting book alone, in the chant that we did this morning, the Buddha's words on loving kindness, it has 3 shoulds. There are 3 shoulds in that. This is what should be done. The name of that chant is the Karaniya Metta Sutta. So Karaniya means what should be done in Pali. And in the book as a whole, there are 25 shoulds in this chanting book in English translation. And in this little book that myself and another monk at Abhayagiri put together called Thus You Should Train Yourself, there are 119 shoulds. So, but that, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. The reasons, I can totally sympathize with people who were hoping and thinking that there were no shoulds in Buddhism. While I was putting this book together, I don't know if I was telling any of the senior monks or the other monks that I was putting it together, but I was collecting them because I myself, I love this particular form of when the Buddha said, thus you should train yourself. He says it, several hundred times in the Pali Canon, and it has a specific feel to it. And I love it for my own reasons, which I might get into. But at the same time, while I was putting this book together, Ajahn Amaro gave a talk where I think the name of the talk even was, "There are no shoulds in Buddhism." And I was so crestfallen and a little bit peeved. I was like, he knew I was putting the book together and he was trying to mess with me. But it's a linguistic thing. It's a linguistic thing. The shoulds in Pali are what are called gerundives. That's the English name for the form, or future passive participles. They're passive in the sense that a better translation, a more accurate translation is, this is doable. So the Pali for this is Sikhi Tabang. That final ending, T-A-B-B-A, is the gerundive ending. And it's cognate, it's related to the English, now English suffix, able. So like, this is doable. These trainings are trainable. These are actionable things that we can do. So they're possible. They're possible to be done. And they are participles because they participate in being both verbs, which pretty much all of Buddhism is verbs. That's what the truth of anatta, or not self, is pointing to. Really, you can't point to any noun. Any noun in the room, anything in the room that you point to, when you keep pointing closer and closer and closer and closer, you basically just go through the object. On a physical level, on the level of the physics of it, things don't exist. And when you break things down, it's just a collection of parts. I was trying to give a talk on this thing here and couldn't get it quite to work because all the pieces weren't coming together in the right way. So they're participles. It's part verb and part adjective. And what is trainable? The path. What is doable? The different things that the Buddha said to do that were encouraged to be done. To introduce people to probably the big four shoulds of Buddhism, of the Buddhist path, whether it's Theravada, the Buddhism of Southeast Asia, or Mahayana of East Asia, or of Vajrayana of Tibet. They've all got these Four Noble Truths with their 3 phases and 12 aspects. So to get into what that means, I'll invite anybody who's willing. We can just chant kind of the heart of the Wheel of Dhamma Sutta. So this is the Dhammacakka Sutta in summary and in English. So on page 109 at the bottom, and we'll just do the English. So just before this in the sutta, the Buddha has described what the Four Noble Truths are. The truth of dukkha, which is that there is a level of stress, of suffering, of unsatisfactoriness involved in being born, in aging, in sickness, in death, in being separated from what we love, in an attachment to the 5 aggregates. There's a cause, which is craving for sense pleasures, craving for becoming, craving for non-becoming. There is a cessation, the third noble truth, which is letting go of that, the fading and cessation, renunciation, relinquishment, release, and letting go of that very craving. And there is a path, the Eightfold Path. So the Buddha just laid that out, and then he goes into this on the bottom of page 109, and we can chant together. And when we chant English, usually it's just, let's see what we can do. Usually it just comes together, even if you haven't done it before. Bhikkhus, in regard to things unheard of before, vision arose, insight arose, discernment arose, knowledge arose, light arose. This is the noble truth of dukkha. Now this noble truth of dukkha should be completely understood. Now this noble truth of dukkha has been completely understood. Bhikkhus, in regard to things unheard of before, vision arose, insight arose, discernment arose, knowledge arose, light arose. This is the noble truth of the cause of dukkha. Now this cause of dukkha should be abandoned. Now this cause of dukkha has been abandoned. Bhikkhus, in regard to things unheard of before, vision arose, insight arose, discernment arose, knowledge arose, light arose. This is the noble truth of the cessation of dukkha. Now this cessation of dukkha should be experienced directly. Now the cessation of dukkha has been experienced directly. Bhikkhus, in regard to things unheard of before, vision arose, insight arose, discernment arose, knowledge arose, light arose. This is the noble truth of the way of practice, leading to the cessation of dukkha. Okay. So that's the heart of the first discourse of the Buddha. And that first word, bhikkhus, I mean, it means monastics, but elsewhere the Buddha would use it when speaking to just any group, mixed group of people, male monastics, female monastics, and lay people. So really you can just hear it as practitioners. So this applies to all of us. The psychology of how we create suffering for ourselves and how we can stop doing that is true for every human. Really, it's true for all beings. But as humans, we have the somewhat unique capacity to be with these things. So talked about the 3 phases and the 12 aspects. So the 3 phases are, the first phase of each of these 4 noble truths is when you see that this is the truth of dukkha. This is the truth of the cause of dukkha. This is the truth of the cessation, and this is the truth of the way of practice leading to that cessation. So this is the ontology. This is the reality of a sentient experience, that there is dukkha. There is a cause, there's a cessation, and there's a path. This is the isness of the mind that the Buddha is pointing to. And this is called the 4 noble truths. When you go to the second phase, this is where in this translation it said the noble truth of dukkha should be experienced, should be completely understood. The cause of dukkha should be abandoned, paha tubba, that tubba, ubble, it's abandonable. The third noble truth is of the second phase is that the cessation of dukkha should be experienced directly. Sachika tubba, it's experienceable, it's realizable. And the fourth, the duty with regards to this is that the 4th noble truth, the way of practice leading to the cessation of dukkha, should be developed. Bhave tubba, it's developable, it's to be developed. And you can think of this phase as the 4 noble moves, the 4 noble moves or the 4 noble shoulds, if you're not averse to that word. So we got the 4 noble truths, the way things are, and the 4 noble moves, which are what should be done. This is what can be done. These are the oughts of Buddhism. And ought's another word which people might find problematic. Another Thai word, I don't have a problem with ought because the Thai word ought, luk ought, is like a tadpole, which is just really cute. So it deproblemicizes the shoulds and oughts of practice, just a little tadpole. The third phase is where we realize, where the Buddha has realized that the noble truth of dukkha has been experienced or has been completely understood. The second noble truth of the truth, what causes dukkha, has been abandoned. The third noble truth of the cessation has been realized, has been experienced directly, and the fourth noble truth has been developed. So you can think of this as the Four Noble Proofs, the Four Noble Proofs. So here the Buddha is saying, he has done it. He's done it. And we can experience some flavor of this. You know, we don't, some people take a very dogmatic approach to what is being said here, in that it's only an arahant, only an enlightened person who can truly realize the third noble truth, who can truly abandon the second noble truth, who has fully developed, who's completed these four noble proofs, one who has proved these things to be true. Whereas hopefully most of us are here is because we've gotten some taste of these four noble proofs. We've done the four noble moves to some extent. We've had some insight into the four noble truths. Say, for instance, dukkha. You know, we've looked at dukkha and seen that we can just be with it, and we know that, yeah, we, rather than pushing away from all the dukkha, we've realized that that just doesn't work. Running away from what's uncomfortable, although that's the totally natural reaction, not just for humans, but for, I think, most sentient beings. I think even one-celled organisms, if you give them a little shock, we don't recommend that. Please don't shock your one-celled organisms. But if you do, if you find out a way to do that, they will recoil from that. Even one-celled organisms don't like pain. They recoil from pain and they move away from it. But that doesn't really get us out of the cycle. If that's our only move, is to run away anytime we experience dukkha, then we experience samsara in perpetuity, just forever. There's no end to dukkha through just trying to run away from it. We have to turn and face it. That's what cognitive behavior therapy is all about, is this noble move of being with dukkha. And when we do it, if you've been on a 10-day retreat, a 7-day retreat, even just sat, if you've sat longer than you think you can sit, hopefully you've seen some truth to this, that you'll experience some kind of physical pain or some kind of mental pain. And it just seems this is, there's no way around this pain in my side. It's just, it seems to just be getting worse and worse, more and more dukkha. And the only way out of it seems every part of your being is just screaming, change posture, get up. This is ridiculous. Normal people don't sit this long. You're going to hurt yourself. And you do have to be careful. But a lot of that screaming that the brain does is, it's just screaming. It's just a voice. And if you sit through it, if you realize that it's not actually going to cause long-lasting damage, and you sit through it, then you do have some taste that you sit through it. It seems like the dukkha is just getting worse and worse and worse. And around this level of dukkha, you start thinking, God, I need to move. This is ridiculous. I can't believe I'm still doing this. And then you keep sitting and you sit a bit longer than you can. And then you realize that there'll just be, oftentimes, if it's not truly dangerous, the posture you're in, it'll start going down, because it just can't just keep going up forever. And if it's mental pain, all the more. But this shouldn't be your only move. Just sitting forever is not, it's not going to work for most of us. The Buddha did have this. In the chanting book, there is a chant, which is what the Buddha said during the night of his enlightenment, is, I will not get up until I've realized that which can be realized by human strength, by human effort, by human exertion. And the Buddha does that. He can sit through dukkha until you see through dukkha, totally reach the end of that, seeing the truth of that first noble truth, done the first noble move of being with the dukkha, seeing the dukkha, truly knowing the dukkha, and then, yeah, doing it, he's realized the proof that, yeah, when you're totally with dukkha, then it ceases to be a problem when you've deproblemicized it, when you've no longer subjected yourself to that first arrow. So I totally, yeah, as I said, I'm sympathetic to people who are, yeah, in English, shoulds are, yeah, who wants to be shoulded upon? It's just, it doesn't feel good. And we've had so many, it's just our institutions, so many of them have been exposed for excesses. And yeah, there are so many ways that humans fall short. And yeah, that shoulds can be weaponized, that people can use and often do use in the world, just shoulds as a power trip. Hopefully some level of faith or confidence in Buddhism is a confidence in the Buddha himself. And yeah, Ajahn Nisabo and I just reread and discussed Hermann Hesse's Siddhartha, which was a lot of people's kind of entrance, their Dharma door into Buddhism, into a spiritual path. And although the book doesn't purport to be Buddhist, even though Siddhartha was the name of the Buddha, it's really about another seeker at the time of the Buddha who intentionally meets the Buddha and does not follow the Buddha. It's not, purporting to be a Buddhist book. I was actually quite impressed with how the book portrays the Buddha. It's extremely respectful. And when Siddhartha, this not Buddha, basically comes and meets the Buddha, he's very, very impressed. But Siddhartha's main thing is that he doesn't want to take anybody else as a teacher. And he's totally in awe and as respectful as he could be of another human. He feels that towards the Buddha, feels that this person has realized something, but his own proclivity just doesn't let him be a follower. I don't want to totally put this on him, but there is a term, oppositional defiant disorder. And Siddhartha is, honestly, he's a really admirable and impressive character in many ways. And that's the oppositional defiant disorder is a bit of a, it's kind of, it's got some valence to it. But yeah, we don't want to be shoulded on because it just doesn't feel good. And we've had, unskillful people do it unskillfully. And yeah, I remember when I was in elementary school, we had this saying, like when, of course, when our teachers or when the principal or somebody in real authority tells you to do something and you're like in first or second grade, you kind of have to do it because they're huge, these bigger adults. But we had this other thing, like if our classmates told us to do this, and this was Cincinnati in the maybe late 80s or so, Cincinnati, Ohio. We had this thing where if our classmate told us not to do something, we would say, "You ain't my daddy." Like if we're like shoving like Legos in our nose or something. And they say, you shouldn't do that, Ian. Say, "You ain't my daddy." You just keep shoving it up. Or it's like they say, "Ian, pass me the ball." You say, "You ain't my daddy," and you just kick it in the other direction. So I totally, yeah, it's your antipathy towards shoulds is totally understandable because we still misuse them. Like when we're interacting with other people, we have like this, there is a human desire for power, and we do it with our children and our friends and our loved ones. And we can, you'll notice that in the guided meditations, we really try not to use should, but use can. These things are doable. You can do these things, but we don't use should. So both, we should figure out, I'm including myself, we can figure out how to both speak to ourselves, how to encourage ourselves, and how to encourage and prohibit other people, especially children. You have to be able to speak to children if they're doing something dangerous. They don't know what danger is, and you have to be able to speak to them in a way which, you know where danger lies. And the Buddha, on the level of psychology, he fully understood how we cause ourselves suffering and what we can do to get rid of that. So how is this actionable? How is this concept actionable? One is just paying attention how you are shoulding yourself and how you're doing it to other people, and figuring out ways to do that more skillfully. And just some knowledge of the grammar of things, that in Pali, it's passive. This is something that can be done. Like when all of us are sitting meditation, and some dukkha arises, some physical or emotional, psychological, cognitive discomfort arises. We don't have to run, but we can say, this is understandable, and this can be understood. This is both understandable and it can be understood. And there is a place, if you don't have a bad relationship to that, this should be understood. And if you can imagine the Buddha saying it to you in whatever language you can imagine the Buddha saying that, then imagine that, just the Buddha with you right now, sitting, the Buddha right in front of us, and saying, this can be understood. This dukkha, this dukkha should be understood. Or some level of craving, whether it's craving that comes up in meditation or in daily life. We're giving up all of these other things, trying to disaddict ourselves, to overcome all of our various obsessions and compulsions. And that's in daily life and in meditation. And we can just imagine the Buddha with us. It's abandonable. It's to be abandoned. And why is it? Because we have a clear goal. That's the secret. How we go from the Four Noble Truths to the Four Noble Moves, or the Four Noble Shoulds. In philosophy, there's something called the is-ought problem. How do you go from the truth to the move, from the is to the ought? The Buddha just doesn't make a problem out of it, because it's just natural for humans. Why do the Buddha's shoulds make sense? Why do these Four Noble Moves make sense? It's because human beings don't want to suffer, and we do want to experience well-being. It's within that context of having a goal that I don't want to suffer, and I do want to experience well-being, that the move of abandoning these unhealthy cravings makes sense, and realizing this is realizable. The fading away and cessation, renunciation, relinquishment, release, and letting go of my craving for all the delicious things of the world that maybe aren't so healthy for me, or all the substances which are just gonna lead to more and more addiction. I can realize the ending of that craving, and I can develop these are developable. The path of right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right mindfulness, right concentration, right effort. These are actionable, they're doable, they're to be developed. So these should be developed. And hopefully you can imagine that inner Buddha just giving us that encouragement in whatever language, figuring out the language, both that we can accept and that really works. Because it might be the case that we don't like the word should, but it's actually effective when we imagine this inner Buddha telling us, you should really abandon that craving that's taking you away from just contentment right here in the present moment. You should abandon that. And we might not like it. We might have that should is a trigger, but if it works, okay, Buddha, okay. If it works, then lean into that. See if you can stretch your comfort level. So I think leave that there with the Four Noble Truths, the Four Noble Moves, and the Four Noble Proofs.
Dhammakatayu sadhu param dhammase. Sadhu, 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 anumo.
Okay, so we can open things up. If anybody had any questions here in person or online, if you're online on Zoom, you can lift up your hand, especially the little cartoon hand, and then we'll call on you. Cliff, please. Oh, yeah. Miles will bring the mic.
About should statements. Now, from the English language grammarian point of view, which might totally outgeek everyone here, I encounter should statements in the Buddhist literature that I read as conditional propositions. There's an if and there's a consequence. The classic example is, if you don't want to miss the bus, you should hurry. Right? And to me, most of the should statements I encounter are of that nature. If you expect a certain outcome, you should engage in certain behaviors. And so to me, that is not just the unidirectional, you should, or you shall not pass, or any of those other one-way statements. And the should statements as conditionals are really two-way.
Yeah, very well said, Cliff.
I also appreciate our first Lord of the Rings reference of the day. Well done, Cliff. You shall not pass.
And just to make that explicit, if the Buddha is saying, if you want to be happy and don't want to suffer, then these are the things you should do. Please.
Hello. I was just curious about how do you balance non-violence, not hurting animals with the need to like eat and defend yourself in certain situations.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, in terms of diet, people, if one's body can do it, there are vegan or vegetarian options. And I do know people who I trust who feel like they say that their bodies just can't do that kind of diet totally. But you can just look for less and less harmful ways to eat. But you're right, on some level, even if we are totally vegan, there is some level of suffering that goes into the insects who are dying, in the processing of all the lettuce or whatever we eat. But just inclining, seeing the harm that we create in our lives is, it can be minimized, and that's a praiseworthy thing. And in terms of self-defense, we're not, so in Buddhism, in monasticism especially, like we're not allowed to hit anybody. We're not even allowed to like raise our hand at anybody. It's a specific offense. But I think there might be a non-offense clause if it's like self-defense. Some people just look at our outfits and think we know karate already. So we don't usually get attacked. But
yeah, actually, we have a non-offense clause where we're allowed to climb trees if we're being chased and to run if we're being chased, but only if, back to your question though. No, I think Ajin's, what he's saying is really, to the point of that. Yeah, I mean, the 5 precepts are the foundation. So not killing for food ourselves. And then, yeah, just the widening out of that scope of ethics to really refine and what dietary choices are we making in terms of buying and purchasing meat and animal products. But I think people really come into this realm of question that you're pointing to with, like, we live in a unbelievably complex, interdependent web of conditionality and Jeff Bezos. And like, where does an Amazon purchase, what does this contribute to? And where does the pesticide come in? Like, we always have something on our hands. You can't come away with completely clean hands existing in the world, or at least it's very hard. And I would say the Buddha recognized this, and samsara is broken. And what he said was that the Noble Eightfold Path in the Great 40 Sutta, he says, right concentration with its supports and requisites. So what that means is right concentration, sama samadhi, which doesn't just mean concentration, but like a unification of mind and spirit. That's in some sense the pinnacle. And all the other factors of the path, including ethics and action and what you're purchasing and what you're speaking and how you're getting your livelihood, are supporting that quality of right concentration. And I think that's just useful to look at because it gives a metric for decision. If you make a decision and it really leads to the heart becoming unsettled and you really can't square a certain purchase with a certain ethical standard you have, and your mind isn't able to, it's just chewing over it again and again, then you're not supporting right concentration as a metric. But if you find you make a decision and you know purchasing you only have enough money for the non-organic, produce, but you have more important things to worry about in your life than what sort of apple you buy, which is true for a lot of us, not monks because we can't buy things. But if the mind is able to settle in that, then that's a good metric. I mean, I think with those complicated realms of sila, like looking to the internal guide, that kind of intuitive awareness is important. But to use Theravada language, I think looking at that unification and integration of value and action across many different levels of pattern and behavior as right concentration in the sense of unification, that's a really good metric. Like what lets your mind rest and your heart rest, and what keeps you hovering. Does that make any headway in that realm?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's get, I think Damien's been raising his hand for a bit too. I think Damien's been raising his hand for a bit. Suze, we'll get to you. Just a second.
Hello. Hi, thank you, Nisabo. I had a question that I wanted to ask today for a bit, but I also on the shoulding, I've thought about this a good bit. Because shoulding has a certain sense of you want to make progress towards some goal, but at the same time, I felt for a long time when I would should myself, there's almost like a harm, like a self-harm aspect of it. And I had a really productive conversation with a friend about this. And we kind of, and these are mainly his thoughts. And I think the main problem for me that arose with shoulding is when I should myself, and there was the sense of that I currently wasn't currently in some sense inadequate. And when it came from this shoulding of like being currently inadequate and then going to somewhere else, it has the sensation of running away, of like, I need to get away, kind of like you were saying. But if I'm able to should myself, but I'm also able to accept myself for the way that I currently am, then that sort of shoulding it feels right to me personally. So these are mainly thoughts of my friends. I give him the credit for that. But anyways, the main question that I was curious about today was the different vehicles of Buddhism. And I was curious why the Theravada vehicle spoke to you mainly. Either, both of you.
Yeah, very well said about the subtle violence of unskillful shoulds. Does anybody else sympathize with that? Just, yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, for us who have that, I find that even with just pulling the mind back to the breath, I do have a complicated relationship with the breath, but that kind of open awareness practice where you can just kind of shift into neutral and just realize, yeah, that there is awareness here. Even if the mind's distracted, awareness, the mind, consciousness is bigger than that. And you can just shift. You can get that little wiggle room, or huge, vast wiggle room, which I guess is an oxymoron, but you can get space from it. In terms of Theravada, yeah, it was the Goenka retreats, which is speaking, somewhat of a covert Theravada language and explicit the more you get into 10-day retreats. And it's just so practicable and yeah, there's so much emphasis on the humanity of the Buddha. The Buddha is a very human character. He's a human in the Theravada canon, whereas in Mahayana canon, yeah, he seems to be not so much in certain suttas. He's like a quasi divine being who is never born and will never die. And yeah, this just seemed more relatable. And the language is just so, the psychology of it is just so, goes straight to the heart for me.
The yeah, Longpo Sumedho said, you know, the Mahayana ideal of the Bodhisattva, it's way more inspiring than us. And I said it slightly tongue in cheek. But yeah, the goal of Nibbana, the Buddha said it didn't have to be validated in any societal means. It's a worthy goal in and of itself. It's the worthy goal. The farther I push into the Mahayana cosmology and ideas of what the Bodhisattva mind is, the more I think there's maybe not a distinction between a lot of what they're talking about and a lot of what we're talking about. I really see developing the practice. I've never seen a fork in the road with good practice. It just, good practice is good practice, and you're benefiting others and yourself, and there has to be a balance for the heart to develop, and you just get an intuitive feel for what that is, the middle path. And, you know, I don't know what my long-term path is in terms of how many lifetimes, you know, I have left. But I know in this incarnation, I'm just so moved by the Buddha's original words. The teaching is so, there's such an internal integrity. It's like a crystal, like hyperlinked, you know, different pieces together. It's such a profoundly beautiful structure. And the Theravada just contains the most clear articulation I've ever heard of that. And I've just never gotten a taste for anything else at the end of the day. But I love our Mahayana brothers and sisters. And I think we might all be on pretty much the same path, actually, in a lot of ways. But, and I really love the fact that these robes mean we don't touch money. That means a lot to me. Yeah. We have room for one more question. Suze.
I love the etymology work that you were doing this morning, and of the 4 or the 12 aspects. Philip Moffat's book on Dancing with Life, which is based on Sumedho's teachings. I like the word for the 4, instead of developed, embodied, embodiable. And I find that just really accessible, and developed seems to take me more into my head and not into what does it mean to really embody the fact that dukkha is here and I'm struggling against it. You know, how does that just, and it takes me back into the body's feeling about that too. So I would love to hear any comments from you about it.
That's great. I love that. Yeah.
There's an interesting phrase in the Buddha says one contacts release with this body and achieves like unshakable liberation. It uses the word kaya and got body in Pali. And, you know, in that case, he even talks about that with like the formless attainments, which how can you impact a formless attainment with the body? But I think that word's used to talk about this immediacy of experience and this powerful ripple through the entire being of someone. And it speaks a bit to what you are talking about. That's a brilliant use of the word embodied. Thank you. We have to wrap up, actually, and maybe we could read the blessing braid. Before that, though, I missed the person who's traveled the longest to reach us, which is just Jayanya here from Germany. And if any of you who's been tuning into Mission Majjhima at all, yeah, that seed of an idea came from Jayanya, and Kristen's been editing those videos. So just welcome back. And well, yeah, Tyler as well. Yes, Tyler. Good. We mentioned last time, but it's good to mention again. Okay. All right, chanting.
For Gudasachi having genetic disease, bedridden, presently having severe cold, spread happiness. And for Janie Kennedy, passed away this morning, prayers for a positive rebirth.
Do people have others they'd like to bring to mind and heart for this space? Andrew's Grammy. Okay. Sid. Sid's mother. Ill. Juliet Nicole. Racho. Racho. Yin Yin's brother who just passed away about 2 months ago. Damien's mother dealing with depression. Jen, health problems. Sandra, Kandra, who passed. Yes. Jai, who died of cirrhosis. Okay, so let's chant Reflection on Universal Well-Being, page 41. Now let us chant the reflections on universal well-being. May I abide in well-being, in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may I maintain well-being in myself. May everyone abide in well-being, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may they maintain well-being in themselves. May all beings be released from all suffering, and may they not be parted from the good fortune they have attained. When they act upon intention, all beings are the owners of their action and inherit its results. Their future is born from such action, companion to such action, and its results will be their home. All actions with intention, be they skillful or harmful, of such acts, they will be the heirs. Okay, we're going to finish with a special chant. I think all of you know this one. I can't do it though. Mom? Oh, we can't wear these. You can't.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Ajahn Kovalo. Happy birthday to you. And many more. But it's metaphoric. There's one candle in the middle that lights a whole lot of candles around it. And then we don't know what happens. We think it goes around and around and around.
What does the ice cream mean?
The ice cream means, but all the cookies are gluten-free and vegan.
Yeah. Oh no, you may play the mic to it. Maybe we can blow it out together. We're never sure how sensitive the fire alarms are here. So just keeps going. So it was Ajahn Kovilo's wait, how do you turn it off? It's okay, we can keep it going. So oh, it's great. No, it's good. Yes, Joseph's giving some love. That's wonderful. Great. So Ajahn Kovilo's birthday was the 13th. So he was gone for that Saturday, but it's traditional. That really just keeps going, doesn't it? It's traditional in Thailand, and I think it's important to really celebrate and honor those beings who are our teachers and our brothers. And so grateful to have you here, Ajahn Kovilo. And we all signed a card for you last week. And so maybe we can do a big spirit fingers for Ajahn Kovilo. And before we end, although actually we might have to move this because it really is distracting, actually. Until you put an end to birth, it keeps going. Is maybe we could go around, and we've done this before, but if people could just say a few things that they appreciate about Ajahn Kovilo, I think it's a good time for that. So we will later. But first, people get to praise you a little bit, Ajahn. So 3 people for the triple gym, and we might extend that to more, but at least 3. Do we have a mic for Charles?
Ajahn Kovilo, happy birthday. I am so grateful for the patience and the friendship you extended to me as I stumbled along the path.
Thanks, Sid.
So I'll share something personal. I have this small list of people that I keep like their name written in front of me in the desk anytime. If I feel sad or something, I look into these people like, oh, these are the people that when I talk to them, that makes me feel very happy. So Ajahn Kovilo is one of them. So I really appreciate him and really like his sense of humor and all the kindness. Thank you.
Jayanya?
Ajahn Kovilo. I like to say something in the name of Jayanta. She's my mom over there, and I know I'm speaking her mind at the same time now. And we both wanted to thank you so much for all of the meditation sitting that has been going on for the last month. This was really, really special for both of us, and it really, really meant a lot to us. And if you could do it maybe the next Vasa again, we will be joining you very, very surely. Thank you, Ajahn.
While the mic's moving, maybe we could get Vandana.
Thank you so much, Ajahn Kovilo, for all your morning meditations. It made a lot of difference in my practice. I'm so, so grateful. Thank you so much.
Joseph, his heart balloon and teddy bear and other balloon. Joseph.
Thank you, Johns. I have fresh joy today. I really wanted to share something that just came up in this very interaction, and I'd like to dedicate it to my mom and dad. When you chanted the Wheel of Dhamma Sutta, you said knowledge arose, vision arose, and I kept thinking of the ayah came on metta meditation of handing everyone flowers, where literally it's like a rose, and I just saw you giving metta to everyone. Light arose, vision arose, discernment. And then so I just happened to have this little balloon that was a rose. So I just like to offer that on behalf of my mother and father. Thank you for your kindfulness in your heart space.
Beautiful, Joseph. Mary.
Ajahn Kovilo, happy birthday. I'm so glad you are in the world and for your path.
You have made a difference in so many ways. I really appreciate your approachability, that you are so easy to come to and talk to whenever. Your humor, of course, but one of your really unique gifts is your gift of scholarship and the way you can take a word and bring out its nuances. And that just really expands my practice and the way I can look at things. So I greatly appreciate your effort in that realm. Thank you for being.
Aurelian, I think I got your name right this time.
You did indeed. So happy birthday, Arjan Kovlo. I just wanted to say I really appreciate the 9-minute Majjhimas. As someone who is a little bit more new to the tradition, I'm so grateful for the approachability to that content. You're really making it understandable, and I love the format where you two kind of ask each other questions and just offer your thoughts about current sutta or something. So yeah, and also I love your sense of humor. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Aurelian. From the UK, right?
That's right.
Right. Yes. John.
Yeah, hi, John. I appreciate your sense of humor and your ability to communicate things for us Westerners in a way that we understand, and your gentleness of spirit. I feel like I can come to you with anything and get an answer that's very pleasant and gentle, enough that I'm able to receive it. So
Thank you, John. Do we have another person in house? And Max.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Real briefly, I just got just discovered this well, Buddhism in general in just in the last month or so, and it's your teachings on metta that have just been so wonderful and really life changing for me already. And so I just wanted to say thank you very much.
Hi, Anja Kovalo. Happy birthday. And I find it uncanny that when I have deep questions, without my even having to ask, you answer. It's amazing.
Maybe one more. Which can be me. Yeah, just many people know one of our first tudongs together was we kind of got close when we were camping in a field of poison oak, and ever since then, just you've been such a beautiful brother to me and a guide and an example, and your humility and your intelligence and wisdom and kindness and grace, and yeah, just I can't imagine anyone. It's such a blessing to like have landed here with you, Ajahn, and I'm so grateful that you've decided to just be one of the foundation pieces of everything that's happening. So thank you. Just so people know, the last time we got him, the unicorn balloon that Kim got, it was outside of his kuti waving in the wind for about a month. So he kept it apparently. So anyways, Ajahn, happy birthday. And thank you everyone. My mom got all the ice cream and stuff. Kim got the great candle and party hats and the balloons, and just everyone for all the beautiful community they've brought together. Ajahn, do you have anything to say about yourself or?
No, the opposite. It's about everybody here. I mean, especially Ajahn Nisabo. I mean, so kind. I mean, maybe the most skilled person at community building and social awesomeness that I've ever met. So a lot of gratitude for you. I say it to him all the time. I say it to him like 5 times a day. But yeah, it really is very nice that we've got this growing community of people who know and care about each other, and and to foster more of that. Just curious if anybody is here for the first, second, or third time, and if you'd be willing to, please. Oh, and and maybe to say your name and how you heard about Clear Mountain. Welcome, Jamal. Tyler. Welcome again. Sarah. So, welcome, James. Yeah. Cool. Welcome, Dylan. Cool. Welcome back, Bellamy. Yeah, Andrew. Nice. Well, welcome, Andrew. So we now have, there's a potluck and everybody can come and share, and I won't be able to eat all the ice cream and that cookie. So please help yourselves. And yeah, please, if you can, and if you want to stretch yourself, it's always nice to, yeah, see if you can have the first person you talk to or one of the first people be someone who's new or who you don't yet know. So,
and in honor of his birthday, Ajahn Kovila will be handing out Buddhist stickers.
All right. Sadhu. Really, really. All right. Well, for those who are inclined and who would like to, we'll just bow to the shrine, and no pressure at all, but it is fun.